Good afternoon. You're tuned in to Fresh Start Today. This is Jermaine. Today is November the 19th. And we just had a pre-tape recording of Dr. Kunjufu talking about special education and how it impacts African-American children, particularly boys, and how that a large percentage of the foster care population have children who have an IEP plan or an individual education plan. We're going to kind of shift gears here, and I do want to remind the public that Dr. Kunjufu will be at Fresh Start on December the 16th at 5:30 p.m. We're going to be offering a workshop entitled, and this is the correct title of the workshop, is Orange the New Black, Part 1, Strategies for Parenting and Educating Resilient Black Boys in the 21st Century. We're going to be doing a series on Is Orange the New Black, and we're going to explore critical strategies to counter the mass incarceration of three populations: the black father, the black mother, and the black son. And Dr. Kunjufu is going to kick that series off on December the 16th at 5:30 till 8:30 p.m. We will have a panel of solution-focused individuals, and if you'd like to register, you'll need to register. You can call 414-351-1100, 414-351-1100, and we'll be able to provide you more details about that event. Today we have in the studio 4 individuals who were once in our local foster care system. They're now adults in their early 20s, and they're doing different things. And I'm so delighted to have them in the studio with me because on some level I have a relationship with each one of these individuals over the last 15 years or so. And so what I'm going to do is brief introductions, and we're just going to go on a first name basis. I have my very first foster son who's here today. I haven't seen him in I don't know how long, but he's grown now and in his 20s. Gordon is here, and so glad to see you, Gordon.
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing great. Now, you're going to have to talk right into the microphone and let the people know that you're here.
All right, this better right here?
I think that's better. Better, Gordon. And then we have his brother, Andre. How you doing, Andre?
How you doing?
All right. Now, he trying to talk like he real cool, and but you're going to have to break it up just a little bit. And then we have Nikita. How you doing, Nikita?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing great. I see you're a little sick today, but I really appreciate you coming in. And then we have with us one of the very first guests that was on Fresh Start today. She's the veteran here, Rochelle. Rochelle, how are you doing, Rochelle?
I'm doing good, Mr. Reed.
That's great. Well, we're going to be talking about From Pain to Power, Life After Foster Care. So we're going to talk about these foster care experiences. Now, in Wisconsin, according to a document that was a press release that was released from the Department of Children and Families, Governor Walker signed a bill extending foster care to age 21. And according to this publication, it indicated that in Wisconsin, 450 youth age out of the child welfare system each year. And over 43% of those individuals have an IEP or an individual education plan. Did you all have an individual education plan?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Me personally, no.
Okay. So one or two of us had an individual education plan. And then also, too, according to Governor Walker, I quote, youth who age out of the child welfare system are at a higher risk for homelessness, incarceration, teen pregnancy, and unemployment. Extending out-of-home care placements will provide needed assistance to help these young adults successfully transition from care to independence. And that's what we're going to talk about, was your placement, your journey in care, and coming out of care and establishing independence. So we're going to do that, and I just want to let you know we will have the lines open so people can call at 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. You can you can tweet us at Fresh Start 860, or you can Facebook us at Fresh Start 860, or you can email us at freshstart860@gmail.com. We'll be right back after this break. So thank you for tuning in to Fresh Start today. I'm your host, Jermaine, and I have my 4 guests in the studio, Rochelle, Nikita, Andre, and Gordon. These are individuals who were formerly in the foster care system here in Milwaukee County. So again, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, we're going to start with Rochelle. Rochelle was on the program back September the 3rd, and there were a couple things that was going on with your case. I remember there were services that you needed. Employment was an issue. And I think just to kind of bring some of the audience members who are listening today up to speed, at that particular time back in September, you hadn't seen your children for how long?
For a while, months.
For months. And then there was the issue around the termination of parental rights, a petition being submitted, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And basically what that means for people who are not familiar with child welfare terms, it means that basically, or legal terms, that they were going to terminate your parental rights if you hadn't met certain court order conditions within a certain time frame.
Yes.
Okay, so you were dealing with that, and then there was an issue around needing an evaluation, mental health evaluation to be completed, and you had been waiting for some time for that to take place.
Yes.
So we have the visitation issue, we have the termination of parental rights was pending, we have the mental health evaluation. Was there some other critical pieces to your case during that time?
Therapy and AODA.
And AODA services, alcohol and other drug abuse services. And so since then, and I think one of your chief concerns then was that you didn't feel that you were getting the support that you needed from your case manager, a particular agency that was assigned to handle your case, and there was concerns about pretty much you were being looked at as the bad person, non-compliant parent who didn't really love your kids or wasn't trying to work hard to get your children back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So some things have happened since then. So
yes,
it's been about 60 days. November 3rd was 60 days. So within that time period, when you left the show, how long did it take before, because you have visitations now?
Yes, I now have visitations.
Okay.
But it took at least 2 months of complaining to the services that I wasn't getting the services that I needed. So it took 2 months of complaining, but now I have my visitation started up. I see my kids 2 times a week. I'm going to therapy. I start my parenting classes today.
Great. So you're doing it,
Yeah, trying to, got to.
You got to, and I love that that tone. You have to do it,
Yes.
So what was it like being reunited with your children?
It was awesome. I love my kids, and I'm just so happy to even get to see them twice a week, so it's been a blessing.
One of the things, too, was that the case manager was changed was removed from off of your case by the judge.
Yes.
And basically, why was that?
My previous case manager was removed because she wasn't providing me with the services. She kept on telling me, it'll take 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks come, and then 2 weeks pass. She still haven't done what she had to do. And the judge even confronted her about she's not doing her job. I should have had services in place for me. And it was, due to the lack of her not putting me in services.
And this is definitely not an excuse, but I'm just thinking, putting myself in her shoes, she probably has a huge caseload, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of folk who have, in child welfare, who have these exorbitant caseloads, and sometimes families fall through the crack. So it was really great that there's some intervention, that something happened here where hopefully that you and your daughters will not have to be those ones who fall victim or fall through the cracks.
Right.
So that's great. I'm glad to see that there's some progress being made. So we're going to talk, and now we're going to have the group. And you also said you had your evaluation done.
Yes, I had my evaluation done.
So that's great. So we want to congratulate you again,
Thank you,
Michelle. So we're talking about life after foster care. So let me ask you, how many years, Rachel, were you in care?
For all my life, really.
You came in at what age?
At 5 years old.
And then you exited at
18.
So pretty much, like you said, pretty much all of your life.
Basically.
Nikita, how long were you in care?
About 15 years. I went in at 2. I got my own place at 17.
And so you went through an independent living program. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So maybe you'll be able to talk to us about that experience. And what about you, Andre? How long were you in care?
I went in at 6, got out at 15.
I went
back home to my mother.
And you went back home. So you didn't age out of care. You went back home.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Gordon, what about you?
I was 4, maybe 5.
And then you exited
around 13.
Okay, so what we have here are 2 individuals in the studio who actually age out of the system, and then we had 2 individuals that spent a considerable portion of your childhood in the system's care, but then you were reunified with your mother, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we look at this, how are you all doing today? How are you all doing today? How's life?
I'm trying to make it. That's all it is, man. Trying to survive.
Trying to survive. Okay.
I think we all are.
I mean, yeah, life is life for everybody. I don't know if you asking how is life after foster care, or is it foster care carrying on into our adult life, any types of how. No to that, but foster care, like I said, has helped us, helped me. I don't know what it's done for everybody else, but it has helped me throughout my adult life.
So foster care, and we're going to talk about how has foster care had a positive impact on your life, Andre. And so we will talk about the foster care experience and how it's impacted each of your lives, and we'll get more into that. But you all spent a considerable portion of your life, and you're saying that it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yes.
What is the most challenging thing about your life right now?
The most challenging thing about life right now is just figuring out how can you help yourself without the services of, the social service, being able to, do for yourself and be on your own without all of, the extra help.
So when you're an assistant, there was a lot of services that were offered to you all. Did you take advantage of those services?
Nah, I didn't. When I was younger, I had a real bad attitude problem, so I didn't listen to a lot that everybody had to offer me or tell me, so my attitude got in the way.
Okay, so why do you think you had a bad attitude? I mean, from your perspective.
Just being in the situations that I was in and the way that a lot of things was going, I just, decided to put it all in my mind and just bury it all instead of letting it out.
Okay.
So I had an attitude.
So when you were in care, you said you had all these services that were offered to you, but you didn't take advantage of those services?
Nah, I went through it like I didn't care. Even if I, took the program and did it because I had to, I still didn't learn from it because I just went through the motions. I didn't put none of it to use because of.
When I was talking with Andre earlier, he had brought up the fact about how that foster care afforded you some experiences, exposed you to some things that the average child in the community probably, wouldn't have had an opportunity to experience. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, foster care, me and my brother, Gordon, that's sitting right here, we grew up in a foster home with Jermaine, so, I was able, we was presented with somebody that's good. I don't know how everybody else is, but, hopefully everybody else is doing just as good or just as well with their foster parents. But we was able to meet Ray Allen. We went to bus game. Other opportunities like maybe setting us up for military or setting us up for job opportunities or college down the line was presented to us. Now, I ain't gonna lie, me, my brother, and a lot of other people, maybe even the lady sitting here with us today, was presented with opportunities that we didn't take. Anybody else that was in foster care, I'm pretty sure opportunities was presented to you as well. Whether you decided to act on them or take them or not is on you. You can't blame foster care for what happens afterwards.
Okay. Nikita, what about the services? Were a lot of services offered to you? And
I can honestly say that no, a lot of services weren't presented to me. If they were available, I didn't know about them. Mm-hmm. Even with the independent living situation, I found about that on my own. Okay. After a while of going from foster home to foster home, you don't want to be under nobody else's care anymore. Okay. So I began to research how soon can I get on my own. And then that's when I found out that I could get emancipated at 17. So then I looked into the Lad Lakes independent living situation, and I went through the program.
So you found out. That information wasn't brought to you. How did you find? Do you remember how you found that piece of information out?
Looking on the internet. How can I be on my own? I'm a foster child. How can I get my own thing? I was working, so I had the money. I've been working since I think my first job was at 15. Okay, so I'd always had my own money. And so, because with the situation that I deal with in foster care, I needed my own money. Okay. And so, after a while, it was like, I can't take it. I want to be on my own. So I started looking it up.
When you say I just couldn't take it or I can't take it, what does that mean exactly?
It was, okay, like, me personally, growing up, I've been about 10 different foster homes.
10 different homes. Okay.
I got pregnant at about 16.
Okay.
And so, you know, I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to care for my child. I didn't like the fact that, you know, not only does somebody else have to be responsible for me, but they also have to be responsible for my child. And then at that time, you know, when I went to go apply for, you know, services when I was pregnant, I think the amount that I found out my foster mother was getting for me, in amount of that what I received, to me, I felt like if, you know, I'd probably be better off on my own.
So basically, and this is something that's going to. Do you think that a lot of foster parents are in the business for the money?
Yeah, a lot of them are. Like out of 10, I probably had a few good foster homes.
Okay.
And so, you know, out of 10, I would probably say 3.
And I believe that I honestly do, even though I was never experienced, you know, shown that. Like I said, I was one of the lucky people, me and my brother, that have good foster parents. I had to say throughout the maybe 5-6 people I was with, only one of them I had to say wasn't all that good to us. But like I was saying, we stayed with Jermaine. I barely knew that you even got paid for having us. That's how good of care you took of us. So,
Rochelle, in your experience, what weigh in on that?
I feel like the foster parents be more into it for the money as well, because I've experienced a couple foster homes where, you know, I wasn't getting clothes or things like that, and they was spending the money they was getting for me. But I just feel like if you're gonna do it for the money, don't get a foster child at all, because that kid needs loves, a decent home, and a decent future. Okay. So a child is just not a check.
And I think that was the statement that you made earlier, and I thought that was very powerful, that a child is worth more than a check.
Yes.
Okay. So Nikita, you started doing some research, and you said there was a lot of information that you discovered on your own, opportunities, and so you began to work on getting out of the system because you became pregnant and you want to take care of your kid, and you wanted that level of independence and in control. So that's great. Rochelle, in terms of resources, were there a lot of resources offered to you
Aftercare
or while in care?
While in care, yes, there was a lot of resources as far as like therapy, basically just therapy at that time. But yeah, just basically therapy.
Okay. So when we look at this and we look at your journeys, and I want to start from in care and then what happens after care, and particularly your days of emancipation. Now, Gordon and Andre, you returned back home, but in a sense, it was your exit. And so we'll look at the word emancipation, just mean your exit from care. You know, some of you aged out, others were reunified. So while in care, was there a stigma around being a foster child, and how did you deal with that?
I don't really. It depends on how you handle that when you leave your foster home or when you around in the general public with everyone else, how you present yourself and how you act. I mean, personally, no one outside of my family or outside of the people that was in my foster parents' family or whatnot knew that I was in foster care. I had best friends that didn't know I was in foster care. They just thought you were my dad, or I had family members I was staying with. It ain't really necessarily anybody business, but it's also on how you present yourself on the situation.
I can honestly say yes, it is a stigma tied to it. And you know, for some people it's different. For me, everybody knew I was a foster child. Oh, she's a foster child. Even because me and a lot of my siblings were around the same age.
Okay.
So when they introduced me, oh, this is my foster sister, or even some of my foster parents, this is my foster daughter. And so it's that stigma tied to it. A lot of people look at it as negative. Oh, well, what did you do? Is the first question when you say you're in foster care. Well, what did you do? Okay. What do you mean? What did I do? I was born. And so, you know, people don't really understand what a foster child is for the most part. And so, and even as an adult, you know, in the field that I work with a lot of children in foster care. And I see a lot of them, they may get teased because they're in foster care. I remember I had to step in on a young boy. They were teasing him, oh, he's in foster care. And I was like, and what's wrong with that? I was a foster child too. You know, a lot of great people were foster children.
Right, Jamie Foxx was one.
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela. You know,
A
we
lot
can go
of
down the list.
people.
Andrew Jackson and Nancy Reagan. A number of
A
people.
lot of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And so, and that kind of changed how the children deal with him, and as well as how he looked at it as himself. Like, he felt a lot better. He smiled a lot
So
more.
for foster parents who are listening to this program today, in terms of protecting the dignity, if we can, of the child that you're caring for, it may be important not to introduce the child as being your foster child.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
I had a foster mother named,
inappropriate.
no names.
Yeah,
But okay, yeah, one of my foster mothers, she never once introduced me as a foster child. It was always, this is my daughter, you know, this is, and everywhere she
And how did that
treated
make
me,
you feel?
It felt good, you know, especially being that was my fourth foster home at that time.
Do you think that foster parents make a difference, or they differentiate between their biological children versus the foster child?
A lot of them do.
Some.
They treat
Some.
their kids better than they treat the foster kid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just want
Yeah.
the foster kid just for extra income.
Yeah.
But you notice a difference. Okay, so now when you talked about, you know, that that the title, you know, and I was thinking about someone where they had some bumper stickers on their car, and it said, "I am a foster parent." You know, so if you see 3 kids sitting in the back of the car, you know, there's a thing called confidentiality, and you know, so even introducing someone as a foster child breaches confidentiality. So for providers who are listening, that we really got to be careful in terms of how we make introductions. And then, you know, also too with teachers, sometime in school they'll say, you know, your foster dad is here. You know, so for teachers who are listening, you know, it's like, and I've had kids, I've been privileged to have some kids in my care who they will become very angry. And I said, well, what happened? Well, because she called me a foster child. She said, your foster dad is coming today. You know, so how did you all deal with that, being treated or feeling like you're different?
I don't personally feel like it's anything wrong with any foster parent being proud of the fact that they is a foster parent, or, you know, letting everyone know that, or letting certain people know, or even riding around with a bumper sticker letting people know that they're a foster parent. But on as far as the introduction part, like, this is my child. This is the person I'm taking care of.
Yeah.
Whether this was my foster child, my stepchild, or some kid I picked up off the street, if I'm feeding it, clothing it, and putting, you know, taking care of it, this belongs to me.
You know what? Probably about 100,000 foster parents are clapping their hands right now. I think they like you, Andre. So we're going to take a break, and after this break, we're going to finish the dialogue from pain to power, life after foster care. Good afternoon. You're listening to Fresh Start Today. I'm your host, Jermaine, and I have 4 great guests on the show today. They're individuals who are now in their 20s, but formerly were in the local foster care system. There's Gordon, Andre, Nikita, and Rochelle. How y'all doing? All right, we have a caller on the line. Caller, how are you doing?
Hello, how is everyone there?
Oh, we doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing fine. I have a question for all the panelists there. I would like to know, could you tell me who failed you? I would like to know who failed you. Who do you feel failed you? Do you feel it was your parent? Do you feel that it was your worker? Do you feel, if you had a therapist, do you feel it was your therapist? Which of these entities, the Bureau, which of these entities do you feel failed you? And what could they have done to better your situation?
All right. Thanks a lot, caller. Anybody?
I don't understand. I personally don't understand what she mean by failed me.
Okay.
My mother, even though she lost us or whatnot, she never was out the picture. Up until day one, she was.
Wow.
From day one to the end, she was in the picture. Workers, they came and gone. But to the best of my knowledge, all of them was good. Foster parents, like I said, all of them except one was good. So, me personally, I don't see nobody that failed me.
Okay.
With me, my situation was different. Like, I think it was a combination of all that failed me. My mother, I spent a lot of my life blaming her because of her choices to, she was on drugs. So, of course, we were taken from her. And then not even at that, she didn't, do what she needed to do to get back, to get back where she could get us back. So in that instance, I feel like she failed us. with my situation with my foster parents, you know, starting from the first foster home I was in, I was molested, I was abused. To the next foster home, I was abused.
So you say you suffered molestation while in foster care.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, you know, a lot of them abused me, and then some of them just neglected, you know. So I feel like a lot of times I feel like my foster mothers blame, my foster families failed me. But then that goes back to the Bureau. I feel like they failed overall because they didn't hire qualified social workers to check in. They didn't hire social workers that did what they needed to do. Now, I did have some, and then that's how I ended up moving from those foster homes, or, you know, whatever I needed. I did have some that did help me. So I think the Bureau overall failed me too.
So when a child's needs are not met and they are in the custody of the local bureau, whether you're talking about Bureau of Milwaukee Child Welfare, the Bureau of Chicago, Bureau of St. Paul, wherever, when they are in the custody, physical custody of a local child welfare bureau, you, Nikita, feel that they ultimately are responsible for whatever care that you receive.
Yes, because I think they
or
should.
what happens with your case?
They should research the parents more. They should be, you know, like, for example, my first foster home. I'm one of those people that, personally, from my experience, I'm kind of against interracial families, if that makes sense.
Okay, so transracial.
I was placed
okay.
with a white family.
Okay.
So from that, she didn't know how to do my hair as a child.
Okay.
So she cut all my hair off.
Okay.
So I received ridicule at school. You know,
how did that make you feel?
Horrible.
Horrible.
You know, and I was there from 2 to 6. So on top of feeling that, I was dealing with molestation in that home, where her oldest foster son would molest me.
Okay.
And then she would have her brother watch me. He would molest me.
And did you ever tell them?
Not my foster mother, because to be honest, I can't remember seeing her that much.
Wow.
And that's another thing, like, and so I
Improper
told teachers
supervision.
at school.
Okay.
Yeah, I told teachers at school, and that's how it got out, and I got moved. But even when it got out there was still a delay.
Okay.
When I remember going to the teachers and telling them what was happening, matter of fact, I take that back. I told one of my friends,
Okay.
and her dad went to the school and told the school.
Wow.
And even with that, they still let me go back to that home. And
So even after reporting that there was some form of abuse, sexual abuse going on in that particular foster home, you reported to a friend. Friend disclosed it to their parent. Their parent went to the authorities.
yeah, because they had me come in there. My social worker was there. The guidance counselor was there. The principal was there. So all these people were there, but they still let me go back home to that home. And in that time, they notified the people, because when I got back, they were packing. And as of today, from that day, they moved to Texas. So they still let me go home to that family.
Wow.
And they notified that family ahead of time.
Okay. So I don't know if Rochelle wanted to weigh into that piece about
Who's to blame?
yeah,
Who failed us?
if you felt that someone is to blame.
I really feel it was mostly my family, because when I went into foster care, it was basically my mother's fault, you know, and she was in jail for the most part that I was in foster care. But my other family members, they never, you know, tried to get me back, or, well, they might have tried at one point in time, but after a while, they just stopped trying. So I end up aging out. I just feel like it was more than my family could have did. They could have, you know, saw where I was at, or if I needed a home, or how could they get me back so I can be around family. But I never got a chance to get back to my family because nobody really tried.
So now, I'm glad you brought that piece about family, how important family is, because Gordon and Andre, one thing that you all made note of is that even though you weren't able to live with your mom, for the most part, you all were with family.
Yes.
You know, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and that was important to you all. Whereas in Rochelle's situation, she felt that, you know, family should have fought more to get you all back. What about you, Nikita? Did you have a relationship with your family while in care, or?
Not until my later years. My last foster mother, she was really close with my dad's side of my family.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I got in contact with a lot of them. And that's actually, matter of fact, I was over one of my aunt's house, and that's how I got moved to my last foster home.
Okay.
Was because I was over there, and I was telling them how I was getting mistreated at my current foster home at that time. And then my cousin, she was like, oh, well, my mother has a foster home. And so then that's how, I talked to my social worker, and that's how we created that transition.
Okay. let me ask you something, because we were talking on break, and somebody was texting or tweeting or something about somebody mentioning mental health services. And so we were talking about the quantity of services that were offered to some and the lack of services that were offered to others on the panel. But, Nikita, you had mentioned that, one, that you're going for your master's in clinical psychology.
Yes, that's correct.
And so congratulations for
Thank
that.
you.
That is a huge, huge, that's to be commendable, you know. So you're going to school for clinical psychology, but you mentioned, why did you say you're going to school for clinical?
The reason why I wanted to go to clinical psychology is because, one, I think children that are in foster care, they deserve better, mental health services than what they get.
Okay.
I think the services that they get now, again, I think it's mainly for a check. So a lot
So
of
even from the mental health provider standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people are cashing in on foster care.
on
is what
foster
you-
children.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of overdiagnosing going on.
Yes.
Overdiagnosing,
Yes,
misdiagnosing.
misdiagnosing.
Okay.
They're diagnosing young boys with ADHD, which in reality, 9 times out of 10, a lot of them don't have it. They're diagnosing young girls with depression. And a lot of times, a lot of them don't have it. But they're doing that, so then they're writing prescription. They're giving them these medications that they don't need.
Preach.
And, and that creates, from that, depression is created. So now you're taking
So depression is created as a result
as a
of.
result, because then you look at it like this. From me, I was, I had to go see a therapist. They put me on depression medication. Now I'm depressed because now you done put me on medications. So now not only do everybody know that I'm a foster child, they know that I take medication for medication that I don't need because I'm not depressed. I'm perfectly happy, except for I got this and stuff going on. If I'm getting abused every day when I go home, of course I'm going to be sad, But I don't need medication for that. I need y'all to do something to put me in a better situation.
So you had mentioned, and I appreciate you disclosing and sharing that piece, but you had mentioned, you said, okay, with boys it's ADHD, they diagnose them with, and with girls it's depression, but a lot of times as it relates to therapy, you're not depressed, but you just don't want to go to therapy because you don't feel that you needed the mental health service. Is that what I heard you say?
I think they need specific mental health services that caters to those in foster children. I think, like, for example, I went to St. Michael's. So my therapist I went to, they're trained to work with children, but they're not trained specifically to work with children in foster care. Foster care children already deal with other issues that a normal child may not have to deal with. So you're going to have to treat their situation and their case on a different level and with a different sense of care. Like if somebody says that, for example, you could look at a normal child, and if they don't want to interact with everybody else, they may have social interaction behavior problems. However, when you think about a foster child, they don't want to interact with other people because they've probably been moved around a lot. They don't want to create that attraction and then it be taken away from them.
So that attachment, so then they begin to shut down.
They shut down.
Because they've been moved or transitioned so many times until is the question, why should I attach, or, are they going to leave me? Okay. Do any of you others feel that way or have a different position about that?
I feel the same way she do.
I personally, like I said, I couldn't. That's something I personally couldn't speak on. As far as the mental health issues, I think they should pay more attention and to the kids that say they fine, to the kids that say they okay. Because I was one of them kids, like education wise, I'm extremely intelligent. It just comes to the depression part. I was one of those kids that needed the depression pills because being how smart I was, I thought a lot.
Okay.
So I mean, to this day, I still think a little bit too much, and it left me to, at a younger age, it left me to leave me alone with my thoughts. So the only people I could talk to about it was me.
Okay.
Everybody else thought everything was okay.
Someone has either tweeted or, what is this? Facebook this. What are you doing now to improve yourself? That's the question that's out there.
Well, what I'm doing, I'm trying to get back in school and find me a stable job so I can take care of the kids that I do got.
Okay. So you're a father?
Yeah, I'm a father of 3.
Okay, great. Anybody else? What are you doing now?
I'm trying to find me a job and get back in school and get my kids back so I can reverse the trend.
And I'm currently in school for my master's degree, as well as I work at the Boys and Girls Club, so that I can share my experiences with youth, and I'm able to help them on another level.
In your future, do you think that you will ever become foster parents?
I've thought about it, but I got 3 kids of myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
and I
that's
just-
taking up some time right
and I
there.
think- and it does, and I think that, you know, when you want to be a foster parent, you got to be willing and able to invest that extra time. They need a lot more than what your regular children may need. They need a lot more love and care.
Okay.
And
So, go ahead.
and personally, when it comes, I wouldn't say I want to be a foster care parent, but I do want to work with kids in some types of form or fashion. I love to teach, and I love anybody that love to learn.
That's great. Let's talk about sibling connections. When you were in care, did each of you have siblings?
Yes.
At
Yes.
the time of your removal, did you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, in essence, you all left home together, or did you leave in, phases, or?
Well, me and my sisters, I have 2 sisters, an older sister and a younger sister. We all went into foster care together.
Okay.
But my youngest sister was adopted. She was months old, and me and my sister was 5 and 6, so she got adopted. And from there on out, we became separated.
Okay. What about you, Nikita?
I'm gonna be honest. I've heard so many different stories, but I do know that we all were in foster care. I know at one point I thought I was the only one in foster care, but we did go separate ways. Like I know my my oldest brother and my sister, they were kept together. My younger brother and I got a brother that's older, right over me. They were kept together, and then my youngest brother, he went with his dad, and his grandma. So for a while, I did think I was the only one in foster care.
Okay.
And as far as me and my brother's situation, it's 4 of us. I'm the oldest, and me and him stayed together the whole time we was in foster care. We probably didn't leave together, but I left we left when I was 6. He was 4. We met back up when I was 10. He was 8, and we've been with each other since then. My other 2 siblings, they were adopted at a younger age. We still keep in contact with them a lot more now that we're not in the system than it was when we were in the system. But as far as siblings go, me and Lil Bro been together since day 1.
Did you all, and this probably is a crazy question that doesn't have a lot of substance, but on the surface it may not sound like it, but while in care, did you all worry or were you concerned about, did you think about your siblings, where they're at, what was going on with them? How did you deal with that?
I mean, in foster care, I missed my sister, you know what I'm saying? My little brother, he was a baby, you know what I'm saying, when we had, you know what I'm saying, finally, so we ain't really get interactions, but when we finally got them visits to go see him, and then all of a sudden they got to leave after a couple hours, it's like, you know what I'm saying? So when I get to see her again, and it don't be for another couple months now, you know what I'm saying? So when she do come around, yeah, I miss her, but.
Did that cause any sadness, or what some folk might define as depression, or,
It personally, I mean, I wouldn't say sadness or depression.
Okay.
It actually caused distance, because now we meeting this person at 18, 19 years old that we don't know who they is.
who they? Wow.
So it's like it's a complete stranger to us, even though our little brother and our little sister we kept in contact with through all these years and seen them multiple times, but the way they was raised and the way they grew up, me and him can't relate to.
Now, you had mentioned talking about your sister, that you all grew up in the inner city for the most part,
Yeah.
and your sister grew up way somewhere.
Way out of town.
In Kakana, Wisconsin.
Who?
Kakana.
And so you had talked about that you were able to access the social media sites to get.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, go on Facebook and see pictures of her, or be able to, you know what I'm saying, inbox her that way, or, you know what I'm saying, just like my little brother now, that's really the only way I can, you know what I'm saying, really get to him, to talk to him, you know what I'm saying, is to go on Facebook and inbox him and see what he doing, or stroll down his page to see what he doing, you know, because he got his own life somewhere else that he, you know what I'm saying, grew up around everybody else, you know what I'm saying, he didn't grow up with us, so he, you know what I'm saying, it's not like he don't know us, but he know who we are, you know what I'm saying, but he just live in a totally different area.
Okay, so let me ask you. So there were some concerns and thoughts about how your brothers and sisters are doing. Do you think that being in foster care has impacted your sibling relationship post care?
Absolutely. But in no way, I don't in no forms of fashion, I think it's positive. Maybe it's just because of how our situation played out and how the ladies' situation said they played out, that I don't hear no positive on how siblings being separated is any types of good for them once they out of the system. You know,
So
because
it's not a good thing to separate siblings.
that's absolute wrong thing. If
No.
you can keep them together, or keep two together, say they got 5 kids, keep 3 together and keep 2 together. It's just to keep, just so they know who their brothers and sisters is.
That's
You know what I
family.
mean?
That's
You don't-
roots.
Yeah, you don't want them growing up and not knowing who this person is, standing in front of them, talking to them, claiming they blood.
Gotta meet your sibling all over again.
You have to start. And so okay, we have a caller that's online. Caller, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, you have a question or comment?
I just wanted to state that I aged out of the system as well. And a few of the struggles for me were applying jobs, apartments, W-2. When I aged out, I felt I had no direction provided by my foster homes or workers.
Wow.
Go ahead.
No, I'm fine. So you said you aged out of care and you didn't have a sense of direction, resources. You didn't know what to go, what to do.
Correct.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for sharing that. Is there something else that you want to say?
No, I just wanted to state that upon aging out, I felt that appearance was important, smiling through, never giving up. So I succeeded in that sense.
Thanks a lot for calling.
Thank you.
So when looking at your there is just volumes of data that talks about dismal odds of children who were in care, these negative odds from homelessness, incarceration, drug abuse, and even children who have been in care, that their children are more likely to come into the care of the system just by being a product or have been involved in system. So when you look at all these dismal odds, do you think that former foster children have a harder time with adjusting to the real world, especially if your position is that you felt that a lot of things were handed to you, they were given to you while in care, if that is your position, and then all of a sudden now you're out of care, or you go home, so you don't, you transition from care, but you go back home with your birth family, and say you were in a home where you were bought designer jeans and the brand new whatever shoes they got out right now. And was it a shock when you went back home and you went back to some conditions that were reminiscent of the conditions that you had left, or were the conditions better? How did going back home?
Listening to these ladies and seeing from other situations, I came to realize aging out of foster care is probably one of the best. That's not. I don't personally think it's a good thing, because when you age out of foster care, like y'all said, you wasn't being taken away from needing somebody. You was dependent on the person, and to say that leads to you, your child, or a person that came out of foster care's child to lead into foster care, I feel that's false. That's personal decisions. Afterwards, everybody is dealt a bad hand, especially all the kids that's in foster care.
When you were in care, did you feel that you had a voice?
Yes, me personally, because one, I was the oldest out of all my mom's kids, and I was basically speaking for all of us. And when I wasn't speaking for all of us, they was taking an opinion from my mom and my, foster parents. So I had a voice. I don't remember particularly, all the things I was saying or, everything I was agreeing on or disagreeing on. But I know for a fact everybody wanted to hear what I had to say.
And I think for me it was different. As a child, I don't think I had a voice. Like even when my foster mother was abusing me, I told teachers. What did teachers do? They went and told her. So what did she do? She beat me again. I went and told, people in the neighborhood. What did they do? They went and told her. So she beat me again. Even one time when I attempted to run away and she called the police on me, and I'm trying to explain to them what she did to me, they're like, well, you know what? The police officer looked me in my face and said, what you're saying right now doesn't matter because you are a child and she is an adult. So we're going to listen to the adult. And now, don't get me wrong, that could have been because of the fact I attempted to run away. But At the same time, if a child is telling you that an adult is beating them, there should be something done about that. But nothing was done about that. So I would say that I didn't have a voice. But back to what you said about foster children and then their children becoming foster care, I don't agree with that. Just because I look at my situation. Because my parents was on drugs, that's why I choose not to smoke. I choose not to drink because I didn't want to end up like them. The reason I think, even though the services wasn't handed to me, that made me motivated to want to find it my own. Believe it or not, when I got pregnant at 16, everybody told me, your life is over. You're never going to do nothing. You're never going to be nothing.
Those were the messages that were
Those
sent.
were the messages that were given to me.
How many of you all got messages like that from your caregivers, from the case managers, from whomever that was involved with your case? Did you get a different message, or was that pretty much the message that you all?
Everybody just kept telling me I don't listen, I'm bad, I'm this, that, and the other. I don't care about nobody but what I want to do and all this other stuff.
And personally, I didn't hear it because even though I'm finna say this, because people was worried about me and Lil Bro being together, so they never threw no negativity in our faces or nothing like that because they knew we was gonna ride together regardless. But it's always negativity everywhere, man. You can't let that throw you off. It's a negative situation being in a foster home sometimes, and then not all the time.
Okay. There are many community programs out here that serve as an outlet for youth in our community. There's programs like Operation Dream, Pearls for Girls, the YMCA, the Boys and Clubs of America, which you work for the Boys and Girls Club at the Daniels Mardick, you said, right? And your position there is?
A core area supervisor over character and leadership.
Okay, so core area supervisor over character leadership. Okay, and so you've been doing that for some time now. And how important, did you all receive any of these services when you were in the systems care?
I did. I grew up going to Hillside Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you going ahead.
And from there, that's my experiences there helped me a lot in foster care, not only because of the services that they offer, but because of the staff that they had working there. They became my mentor. They became the person I could confide in when everybody else shut me out. They listened. They took, they cared. And that's what made me want to work for the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, and so how can parents, and that's the question I was actually going to ask you all is how important are those programs for children who are in care?
Extremely important.
Extremely important?
Extremely important. I mean, because if you ain't doing them programs, that mean you left to look in the house of a total stranger. I mean, I ain't saying there's something wrong being around your foster parent, but sometimes you need to get out so you could interact with other people.
Build
because you're still a kid at the end of the day. You need to be a kid. Instead of having to deal with all this, going to court all the time, having these people stand over you and secure you while you seeing your parents, wondering why you can't see your brothers and sisters. Sometimes it's time for you to take some time away and still be a kid. Remember, at the end of the day, even though this is part of your situation, this is your problem too, but this is your parent problem. It's your job to be a kid now, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be an adult one day.
Well, let me ask you, because we only have a few minutes left for the show, and I think this is really important. And I think a lot of times I don't believe that there is space and opportunity created within the child welfare world for the young people, for the youth, to have a voice, a meaningful voice, and that people take what you have to say seriously. What message would you all like to give first to the local child welfare bureau about addressing the needs of children who are in care?
Make more opportunities for the teenagers, not just these kids and these babies. I understand y'all don't want to accept these teenagers because they already grown and got their own mind, and they ain't young. Y'all can bring up how y'all want to bring up the children, but make some opportunities for these teenagers, because these teenagers the one that's out here. It's 2014. These kids experimenting everything. So y'all got to make some opportunities out here for them. Make them give them jobs at 15, 16 years old. Show them educational.
So those are partnerships that need to create workforce development.
They need to do more of that.
Okay.
Instead of just benefiting the kids, to benefit the teenagers, the ones that's finna be grown. That's gonna be going out of the system. The ones so it won't end up bad.
All right. Thanks a lot for that. What advice would you give, Nikita?
I would say take a more personal approach to the child. So even if you're going to send them, like for example, we do get a lot of children at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
I think the parents should have a more personal relationship. For example, if you send them to the Boys and Girls Club, take time out to talk to the staff.
Not just drop them off.
What's going on with the children,
Right.
what's going on in their life. What stuff, ticks them, what stuff will make them happy.
I got you.
Or take time to ask the Boys and Girls Club staff,
All right.
how is my child doing?
Gotcha.
What are they doing? What type of stuff do they enjoy? So then it's not like it's just,
Gotcha.
I'm dropping them off.
Rochelle, what advice would you have? Real quickly.
I would say just be more in tune with the child. Don't make them feel less fortunate. Make them feel like you really working for them and working for the good of their future.
All right. Gordon, I think you're going to close out the segment. My very first son.
Well, I'll just say, man, look into the kids and see what they like and what they into, man. Get them more active in, basketball, sports, whatever they like doing. Just get them more active into it, man, so they can.
All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you all sharing your time and your story here on Fresh Start Today. Keep in contact. And we'll be back next week on the 26th. Have a great week.